Analyst of the Crimson Tide Network for men's basketball, Brian Passink. Brian, great to have you on. Thanks for being with us.
Appreciate y'all having me.
I heard 37 NBA scouts were there last night.
There were a bunch, and they were not disappointed with what they saw, at least from John Morant's standpoint. Now, they came to see more than just Morant because Alabama has some NBA prospects as well. But Morant coming in to the game is projected to be the first overall point guard taken in the NBA draft if he decides to come out. He's just a sophomore. And so I'd seen highlights of him. I'd never seen him play in person. My expectation level was through the roof for what I was about to see, and he exceeded my expectations. He was incredible, high-level, future great NBA player, in my opinion. So for Alabama to play against a team that went to the NCAA tournament last year, will certainly go again this year, in my opinion, and has maybe the best point guard in the country, it was a great win for the Tide.
Yeah,
Morant, a lot of great.
Morant scored 38 last night, and this was a good win for Alabama, beating a quality mid-major team. But just staying on what the scouts were looking at, what players specifically at Alabama do you think have a future in the NBA?
Well, I think there's several guys that have potential. I don't think anybody's there yet, but I know when you look at projecting out for the future, guys like Herbert Jones is certainly on their radar screen. It's 6'7", 6'8", long and athletic, high basketball IQ, wants to be a good player, high character guy. He's someone that is definitely getting a look from NBA scouts. John Petty, with the way he shoots the ball at 6'5", long and athletic, good shooter, getting better. And so they're watching guys like that to see how they progress. And then the freshman point guard for Alabama, Kyra Lewis, is a guy that I think will have a chance to play at the next level one day. Now, he's not just a freshman. He ought to be a senior in high school. So he's got a ways to go, I think. But guys that NBA scouts definitely have their eye on. And so those are guys that, there's some others that I think if they continue to get better and they work on their game and they have that potential to become get on their radar screen as well. So they came to see those guys, but John Morant is someone that everybody is talking about in college basketball right now with what he's done in just his second year. A guy that was only offered 2 Division I scholarships out of high school has really just burst onto the scene, and I see why, because he was terrific against a really good defensive team in Alabama. Avery Johnson gave Morant and Murray State a lot of different looks, and he ends up with 38 points going against a high-level SEC defense. So he was really good, and Alabama very fortunate to get a win, and a really good win, maybe one of the top mid-major programs and teams in the country.
Color analyst, Bama basketball, Brian Passink joining us here on the Jay Barker Show with Lars Anderson and Kerry Adams. Alex Reese kind of got it going for him offensively, back-to-back three-pointers. Talk about how big that was early in the game.
Yeah, and Alex has really come on, impressed with how he responded to some adversity. He did not play the minutes he wanted to play against Ball State, only played 3 minutes in that game. And there's a lot of young players that would not handle that the right way. Everybody's going to be disappointed when you don't get in the game and don't play the minutes you want. But Alex responded with a career-high 19 points against Wichita State in the third game in Charleston. And when he got that opportunity after disappointment the game before, he made the most out of it and earned more minutes, played at a high level, and really helped Alabama last night. He's someone that from the end of the season a year ago to today has really transformed his body. He's lost 20, 25 pounds. He's added muscle. He was someone that could always shoot the three and rebound, but now he's able to put it on the floor. I think he'll be a better post-up player as the year progresses. But to have a 6'9" player who has that confidence from the perimeter, from the three-point line, is so dangerous. And it's really a big part of college basketball now to have that stretch four that can stretch the defense from the power forward position, and Alex Reese can do that about as well as anybody. So love to see how he's progressed from a freshman to a sophomore.
Yeah, and freshman Kyra Lewis, you brought up earlier, had a spectacular night, shooting 20 points on 6 of 13 field goals, 70% of his free throws he shot as well, and made, I guess, the spark that he's added offensively, and you brought this up earlier, do they incorporate more of him and get more playing time with more experience he gets right now with this 5-1 team?
Well, I think he's going to get better and better. And he's a young player who has such a mature game and just a smoothness to his game. He can knock down the three. He's lightning fast, but has a nice floater. He'll find open teammates, and love the way he just takes what the defense gives him. And so he's someone that can do a lot of different things on the offensive end, and we've seen that. And I thought he would be a really good player for Alabama. I just didn't think it would be this early. And as a young player, he's going to have some ups and downs, but this is a team, unlike last year, that has the capability to be much more balanced. So you don't need 20 points a night from Kyra Lewis. Certainly you'll take it, but that's not needed. Now, when it's there, he's obviously capable of doing it. Had a career-high 24 points against Wichita State, responds with 20 points against Murray State. So he's playing at a high level, but he never really forces anything. He just takes what the defense gives him, and he's been terrific so far as a freshman.
We're now in year 4 of the Avery Johnson era at Alabama. And so far, year 1, 18 wins. Year 2, 19 wins. Year 3, 20 wins. What do you think would be categorized as a successful year for Alabama this year in Avery's 4th season in Tuscaloosa?
Well, the progression of the program is noticeable. In the wins and losses, certainly, that's something that is very important. But I thought how Alabama's built this from a player standpoint, the roster right now looks completely different than it did when he took over. I mean, I went to practice that first year, and there were some good players, but not a ton. This year, you've got depth, you've got talent, you've got guys that may have been starting in year 1 that now aren't getting the playing time or even getting in a game sometimes. So you've built up depth. You've got high-character guys. And I think the progression would be to continue to build on what he did and what this program has accomplished in year 3. The goal was to get back to the NCAA tournament. Alabama hadn't been there in 6 years, was able to get back there last year, won a game in the tournament for the first time in 12 years. And to do that and go back-to-back with NCAA tournament appearances in back-to-back years would be, I think, a step forward for this program and have a chance to win games in the tournament. That's one of the reasons you play teams like Murray State, teams like Northeastern, teams like UCF, a team that's picked to win their conference. This game on Thursday night against Central Florida may be the most difficult game, non-conference game on Alabama's schedule, and this is a really tough non-conference schedule. There are 5 teams that Alabama has played or will play. They're all picked to win their conference, their league championship. So there teams like UCF, Georgia State next week, who was up against Georgia in the second half by 33 points, ended up winning that game by 24 points. They come to Tuscaloosa next week. So there are no easy games, but these are games that if you can win them, look great on your resume in terms of making the NCAA tournament. But it also challenges you and prepares you for what's ahead when the SEC starts. And I think the SEC is going to be as good as we've seen it in a while. So this team has been challenged, and so far they've accepted the challenge and played well against some really good competition.
I know I probably asked you this before, but Kerry asked me this earlier in the show about basketball, when it should start. And there has been some debates and arguments about it in the past. I know that Jodine Jr. and I have talked about it before. But with football, being so everybody's in tune with the playoffs, some have thought they should move basketball maybe to start in January, that it would actually capture more of the fan base, especially for the schools. Your thoughts on that, being a basketball player? I'm sure that you like it just the way it is.
Well, I'm fine with it. It's just part of it that you don't get the attention, especially in the heart of football country this time of year. It doesn't bother me. I get it. I'm dialed into football. I would say as much as anybody, but maybe there's some that are living and dying with it a little more than me. I can't wait to get to Atlanta this weekend and go to the SEC championship. So I would encourage people, Alabama fans, to multitask. You can watch both. You can support both. You can be in to both this time of year. But if they moved it back, I don't think they will. But if they did, I'd be fine with it. I think it's a pretty good idea, to push the season back, to have the entire nation focused in on it starting in January. But it doesn't bother me the way it is. And look, there are a lot of fans, a lot of students, a lot of enthusiasm in that arena last night in Coleman Coliseum for a big game. And so those folks that are there, that are paying close attention, that helped Alabama get a big victory last night, they're able to follow both and cheer for both. So I just hope more can do the same.
Brian, as always, thanks for your time. Brian joins us every Tuesday at 1:30 to break it down for us when it comes to Alabama basketball. Brian, thank you.
Always enjoy it. Thanks, guys.